Hi. Let me just do the intro and we'll jump right in. My thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and my current mission is to interview 1,000 digital nomads or midlife recalibrators, to get their stories of what it's like to jump into the digital nomad life, or if they've gone through a midlife recalibration, and see what's happening. So today we have a very special guest. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Yeah. So my name is Colleen Kochannek, and I've had all of the above, the midlife calibration, going nomad, all of those things. I actually became an entrepreneur 8 years ago. I was laid off from my corporate job and just started my own online business, not really having thought that, oh, one day I will be going nomadic and doing this. But I'm very glad that I did that because now I'm pretty free to, I always say I'm free to move about the cabin now, so to speak, with my job. So that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. But I'm a nomadic newbie. I'm a newbie. The box is behind me. I haven't left
Oh,
yet. I'm
you're ready to go.
packing.
You're on your way. So you're a
Yes.
potential digital nomad or an
Yeah.
aspiring digital nomad. Perfect.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I'm officially homeless as of May 1st, so I have to be out of my apartment. So,
So you have 30 days to vacate the
guys, I'm
premises.
going. Yeah, exactly, exactly,
So
exactly.
so tell us about your was the layoff sort of like the wallop? Because I think I like to use the term wallop. It's like everybody gets this wallop to change their lives. Was that the thing that did it to you, or were you already unhappy and you were thinking about doing something different?
No, no. In fact, I had a job that I loved. I was very fortunate. I worked in educational publishing, but I had a job for the last 8 years that I was corporate that took me all over the world. So I was kind of jet setting around the world for business, anyhow. Loved it, but the industry was definitely in decline, and so I wound
Mm,
up in a layoff with 10,000 people,
yikes.
uh, and I
At least it
was
wasn't
just
personal.
yeah, it's never I'm like, it's not personalized, but there's still 30,000 employees, so I'm gonna
That's
take it
right.
personal, but yeah. But, I had just hit 50, I was just hitting 50, and I thought there's 10,000 people flooding this market now looking for a job in an industry that is, shrinking anyhow,
Mm.
and so I had heard a lot about, "Oh, have an online business, start an online business." I'm like, "How hard can it be? I'll do that." Not having any idea what I was talking about, but I did jump in 8 years ago now, so I've learned a lot along the way, and I have built, a sustainable business and all of the good things. But yeah, I probably wouldn't have quit my job, but I'm actually grateful that it happened at the time. So
So
yeah,
when it first happened to you, what was your first thought? Did you think, "Oh no, this is terrible. I have to find another job right away," or did you think, "Oh, this is great. I have all of these options open to me now"?
I was kind of relieved. And between you, me, and the lamppost, it was one of those situations where we're going to let you interview for other jobs in the company. And then if you don't get the job, or if you don't take a job that you're offered, you're deemed to have, quit rather than
Mm,
whatever.
yes, I've heard
So,
of those.
yeah, it was a little bit. So, anyhow, needless to say, my interviews for other jobs were very, very poor, and
Mm,
I was not offered any job, which I was thrilled because then I had been with the company a long time. So I had a decent severance. So I had about a year severance pay, which
oh,
was a nice
wonderful. That's
cushion. Yeah,
exactly
it
what
was
you
a nice
need.
cushion. And it was paid out over the year. It wasn't like a lump sum. So I felt like I had a good cushion to do it. As it turns out, it took me longer than a year to, the learning curve of having an online business. But I was very fortunate in that aspect. So that was very helpful to me, kind of getting into the online space. And then once I got the bug of being in control of my own schedule, it was really hard to think about going back. So I don't think I'm actually really employable anymore.
Yeah. Well, once you get
Yeah,
to a certain age, I wouldn't say age, but level of experience,
yeah,
I think you're not a very good employee anymore. I mean,
yeah,
you're a great entrepreneur, but you're not a very good employee because it's just a completely different kind of skill set. Plus, you won't suffer fools as much as you used to, and you won't
yeah,
take the corporate BS that's always floating around. So we become better entrepreneurs at that point. So when you
yeah,
said you went
yeah.
online, so where did you have any technical skills at all on
No,
being online, or so you just
no.
you just started from complete scratch and
I just
said,
started from, yeah, complete scratch. I was on Facebook, of course. Everybody was on Facebook at the time, and
sure.
I just kept seeing all the marketing. Oh, start an online business. It's so great. I'm like, okay, I'll do that too. I had no idea. And I
Big
made the
money, big prizes.
big money. Yeah, make $10,000 by Sunday. That's
That's right.
always
This ten
the
thousand
joke.
dollars per month thing is always it. Like 10K this, 10K that. Where I live, 10K is like bottom of the line wages. Like you can barely scrape by on that
Yeah,
amount of
yeah,
money. So
yeah.
it's just
Exactly,
funny.
exactly. So I jumped in very naively, and I had been in a previous life a magazine writer, a freelance writer.
Oh, so
That
you
I
had writing experience already.
I did. I had writing experience in my early 20s, back in the day when I worked. I did a lot of writing for Better Homes and Gardens magazines and the big national kind of women's publications when they still hired freelance writers. Eventually, they realize interns are cheaper, so they're not going to pay
Right.
freelance writers. But I thought, I'll start an online magazine for my town. How hard can that be?
Nice. That's a
Yeah,
great idea. In fact, people are
yeah,
still saying that today. So
yeah.
local websites, local online magazines for their towns, because those little papers that used to be around all over the place, they're disappearing. They're gone.
They have, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was a little ahead of the curve. Starting that as your first online business, not ideal, not a
Mm,
beginner friendly model at all. And what I didn't really realize is when you have a local magazine that's online, you're still stuck to that town. Like
that's right.
you're not really free to move about the cabin.
No.
And then as it turned out, it turned out it was like where I kind of cut my teeth on online business and learned all the things. And I took a bunch of courses and all the things. And then sadly, my husband became ill. I became a caregiver for him. He
Mm,
died about a year later. And
mm,
I was able to segue that. I'm like, I don't necessarily want to be beholden to this town for the rest of my life. So
right.
I always joke and say I sold my online magazine. I gave it to a local blogger for a buck, with all the content and
You did
everything.
sell it. There was some
I
money
sold it.
exchanged.
There was money exchanged. But in the meantime, that experience, I had really a lot of friends, women had, come up to me. How are you doing this? How are you doing this online thing? And so that was kind of the gap that in the market that I saw was helping women over 50 build a digital income stream in some capacity. And that's what I've been doing really for the last 8 years. So
Nice. So
that's,
you
yeah.
built one for yourself first, or did you build a stream building the streams?
I built a stream building the streams. Yeah. I used my magazine as my kind of case study for what really needs to be done in terms of building a funnel and marketing and social media. And because I had learned all those things along the way. And I had learned more what not to do than what to do, which turned out to be incredibly helpful. And then, yeah, then I just started. I first had a membership which, those are kind of tricky models. And I had a membership where I was convinced I could help everybody. You know how
Of
that
course.
is. I can help
Boiling the
everybody. And
ocean is one of the favorite
yes,
things that entrepreneurs want to do, because they
yeah,
they look at the size of the market and they go, "Oh my God, look at how many people need help. And if
yeah,
I just get a small portion of that number of people, then I'll
yeah,
be doing great." But
yeah.
that's the problem. That's a problem.
It is a problem. I learned that quickly though. Like, not only can I not help everybody, I also don't want to help everybody because not everybody's a good fit. So
That's
anyhow,
right.
yeah. So that one thing led to another. I've had a membership. I've had high ticket coaching. I've had digital products. So I have a lot of experience under my belt. I currently have a membership community, and I have a Substack because I think Substack is such an incredible opportunity for all of us.
Hmm.
And my brand has expanded too as my life has changed and shifted. I became a widow. I'm child free. I lost my only sibling. So now I'm really kind of flying solo in the world. So I
Right.
cover those topics as well. So it's been really great to kind of expand and contract with my life, which is really great.
So you started as a WordPress blog. So you learned how to do WordPress and all of that stuff when you were
I
when you,
started
when you
with WordPress and then I quickly jumped into a big tool called Kajabi because I
Oh yeah.
wanted to have online courses and a membership. And then, of course, even though they say Kajabi was for beginners, there was a really steep learning curve in Kajabi, at least 9 years ago, there was. So that became a whole learning curve and figuring that out. And I was I'd say 8 months into my business coaching business before I even saw a dime. There was just a
Right.
lot of money going out the door. So
Right.
It threatened to be a very expensive hobby in the beginning.
Yeah, I
So,
think I think people have a weird expectation when they start an online business that they're going to be able to make money right away or
yeah,
like quickly. And you might be able to make a dollar or two here and there, but
yeah,
sustainable income
yeah,
really is a long-term thing. It really takes a long time to get to the point where you're
yeah,
going, okay, this is sustainable. I can keep doing this and I can keep expanding it and I can actually start to replace my income that I had before. But it takes a while to get there. I mean, how long did it
yeah,
take you to get to the point where you were comfortable saying that I've replaced my income from before?
yeah.
Not
I'd
exactly
say
the same, but as much as you
18
can afford.
months.
So it took at
18
least a year
months.
and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hadn't fully replaced my income, but I was getting there. I think like what I always tell my students is you need a year to 18 months to get to a place where you know what level of effort and activities are required to, sustain a specific level of income. And then you
Exactly.
grow from there, you scale from there. But in the beginning, if you're starting from scratch, everything is a learning curve. I mean, people were talking about
Oh yeah.
funnels. I'm like, what the hell's a funnel? Like, I have one in my kitchen, like,
So you really
everything
started from scratch.
I started from scratch, and, people would talk about email service provider. I'm like, "What?" Like, my Gmail, like, everything was a learning curve, and my audience tends to be starting at that level as well. Just, they're coming from a nursing career, or they're retiring corporate or whatnot, and they just haven't been exposed to the, online marketing and online business. And of course, now there's so many opportunities. Like, I think Substack is an incredible opportunity. Like, the school platform for communities is a really great opportunity, depending on, how you want to approach it. And the tools are much easier now. Uh, I can't say
Hmm.
Substack is super easy. It's much improved, but I do love it as an app for it. I mean, but there's, it takes some doing on the back end to figure out what you're doing on
Yeah.
Substack,
Well,
but it's good.
everything, yeah, everything takes some doing. Plus, you can jump into Substack really easily, but then you may not do it right depending on what you're trying to do with it, right? Because there's so many, because it's so many things to so many people, right? For some people it's just a personal blog, for other people it's a money making thing, for other people it's something completely different. So there's it's just like any other tool. Is you configure it properly to where you want it to go, then you can do that. But for some people it's like they started as a personal blog and say, how come I can't get any subscribers, how come I'm not making any money? Well, maybe you know
Yeah.
that's you're selling. So it's a hard thing to swallow, but maybe you're putting something out that people don't necessarily want to purchase, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
there's no
and I think
demand for what you're
yeah,
doing.
a challenge is to like I say to my students all the time, the thing you will do most in any business that is your own is marketing, and nobody will tell you that. Like,
Yeah,
everybody thinks, "Oh, I have like this wonderful I love to art. I love to do art and paint." That is great, but guess what? You're not going to be doing a lot of art and painting. You're going to be marketing your, art and painting course. So, marketing is the key. And that takes a lot of effort, whether it's on social media or paid ads or like on a Substack that has internal referrals kind of thing. It all just takes time. But marketing is the thing you'll do most. That's what you really need to master. And that takes a little bit of time for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's sort of in general, that's where we are for most businesses, right? Because it used to be you would build a business and then you would market the business, but now you're kind of building your business in conjunction with building your audience, or sometimes you've even building your audience first and then
Yeah.
going to your audience. What do you guys need? What do you guys want? What can I do for you? So where were you when you were first starting this? Were you like, you knew that there was a specific audience that you wanted to deal with and you knew what their issues were? Or did you try building the audience first and then address them with courses and et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit of both. I knew I wanted to help women over 50 start an online business. Even that was very vague in terms of a niche or an audience. So then I kept getting narrower and narrower, more to like, we're going to take something you know how to do. We're going to translate your know how into a digital income in some capacity. I usually start my students with a really simple digital product, but I operated on Facebook first. 9 years ago, Facebook wasn't as dicey as it is now in terms of reach and engagement and whatnot. So I started with a big Facebook group and then marketed to them. My first membership where I was helping everybody, which anyhow, we don't need to rehash that. Yeah, marketing blunder. But I started on Facebook, and then from there, it just kind of grew because I just got to know my audience better and better working with them. But in the beginning, it was, like, woo, I made $300 this month. Like, woo,
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
covered the
sometimes
cost of
that's
my
a
tools. Yeah.
that's a feat sometimes. So you went into Facebook groups that were already pre-existing and you started talking to people there. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that somehow frowned upon sometimes when you try to market your services in one of these groups?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, 9 years ago, that was the marketing strategy is you would show up in other groups and just be helpful, be really
Yeah,
helpful and answer questions. You're not marketing your own business, and then people
yeah.
start following you. And then it just kind of begets and begets. And I was given really good advice to start an email list very early. So I,
Yeah, very
went with
smart.
Mailchimp, the old Mailchimp.
So did I. I think everyone has been a Mailchimp customer at some
Right,
point in
yeah,
their
it was
lives.
free. It was
Yeah,
free. They're like, "It's free up
yeah.
to, like, 500 subscribers." I'm
And then
like,
you
"Oh,
start
how
becoming
would I?"
successful and you're like, "Now I gotta pay? What the
Yeah,
hell?"
I gotta pay, yeah, and how will I ever get 500 subscribers? So, it was just kind of slow but sure, and then I did invest in some coaching and masterminds and that type of thing, which what I realized quickly was it was as much about the coaching as it was the people in the mastermind or the coaching group that became contacts and kind of supporting each other.
Right.
But it was an investment outlay at first. It paid off for sure, but it's taken me 9 years. Like I
Mm,
always tell my students, like probably my primary social media now is Instagram. It used to be TikTok before TikTok went wonky.
yeah.
But 5 months ago, I had 3,000 followers on Instagram for 8 years of work.
Mhm.
These last 4 months, I'm at 53,000 followers now. It just
Nice.
took off. Like, and people are like, "What'd you do?" I'm like, I don't really know. I just kept showing up and then it kind of happened and you don't necessarily know how or when it's going to happen
Yeah.
and then it does and then yeah.
Well, the keep showing up is the important thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the thing is that you don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen at some point, and you just have to keep going until it gets to that point. Because so
Yeah.
many people just, it's the whole analogy of you're digging in a mine and the gold is behind this wall, and like when do you stop digging? Just before you get to the gold, right? And then of course
Yeah.
I like to say that, well, what if there's no gold back there? You never know if there's any gold
Yeah.
back there. Maybe the gold is somewhere else in the
Yeah.
cave and you're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I call it the empty theater problem is, you're on stage in the theater and there's nobody there and you got to keep showing up every day and nobody's there clapping for you. And then one day there's one person and then one
yeah,
day there's,
yeah,
Aunt Betty shows up and then the neighbor it just takes a while. And then one day I had one video pop off on Instagram and then it snowballed. Like
yeah. Yeah, and you
you
never
don't know.
know. You probably weren't even trying for anything particular. It was just a regular video that you do on a regular basis, and then suddenly, it hit at the right moment, and the right person saw
Yeah.
it, shared it to the other right person, and the momentum just started from that point.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
went viral.
Yeah, it was a video I took from TikTok. I'm like, "Oh, I need to get on Instagram now because TikTok's going wonky." So I just started kind of poaching my content from TikTok and just posting it over there, like with the watermarks, like TikTok watermarks and everything, which is a big no-no. And I'm like, "I don't care. I need content." And then it took off. And then
Yeah,
yeah, you just don't know. You just don't know. And then it just kind of it snowballs. Then you get momentum, and yeah.
yeah. So
So
now you probably don't have to market as much as you did before. Are you still marketing as much as you did before?
oh yeah, because I think I do market a lot still. I try to do at least one or two. I've done a live video every day for over 600 days now for
Wow.
either TikTok or Instagram, and that has been an incredible tool to grow my audience. I just show up first thing in the morning, like 6 or 6:30. I call it Coffee with Colleen and Trixie. Trixie's my
I love it.
dachshund. I'm there in my bed head having coffee, and people show up, and we talk. So that's been
I
a
love
really
it.
helpful tool. Yeah, yeah. And then I try to do one or two videos a day, and then the last few weeks, I'm just totally bragging here because yesterday I was like, "Oh my god, is that the real one? Is that the real person? Is that the real Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics commenting on my reel?" And it was.
Ooh.
I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I fangirled all over. I like made a fool of
Wow.
myself. But anyhow, yeah, Made a total fool of myself.
which you
Yeah.
should which you should do when that
Yeah.
happens.
Well, first I
Absolutely.
checked that it was the real one because I'm like, Keanu
Oh
Reeves is
yeah.
always sliding into my DMs,
Yeah.
asking to
Yeah.
marry me. I'm like, let's make sure
Yeah.
it's the real one. But
And I
yeah,
think I have 25 Elon Musks following me on Twitter. So
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So, but I think, the online space to me is fascinating because it is always changing. To me, that's the fun challenge. It's probably similar to why I'm going nomadic is I just love new. I love being put in new spaces, new, find my way out kind of
yeah.
thing. So I like that about the online space. That it's always, now I'm on Substack. It's interesting to learn Substack and how that works, and how do you have to market differently than you did on Instagram. But yeah, I market more and more. The more my audience grows, the more I'll market because obviously I can scale more there.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
interesting. So would you say like as a portion of your time, yeah, how much of your time is actually working and how much of your time is actually marketing?
I would say when I'm working, 90% of the time it's marketing, to be
Mm,
honest. And I'd say I put in probably a solid 30, 35 hours a week.
hmm.
Uh, Mostly because I'm not overly efficient or strict about it. So, and it's, I live on my own now, so I can easily work on a Sunday if I want, or in the evening if I want, or I tend to be a very early morning person. So, uh, yeah, I put in a lot of time. It's my business is also my hobby and my lifestyle, and it's also my business. So, uh, this going nomadic now, I'm like, how am I going to monetize this? Yeah,
Well, it sounds like you bring your life into your business, right?
yeah,
That's basically
yeah,
what you're doing. So that's why kind of like all of the there's no barriers between them all. There are everything's
no,
all blurred together.
yeah,
And that's I was going to ask you is like, you know how some people say, well, you have to stay on brand when you're messaging all the time. But I'm assuming you just talk about yourself and your life and what you're doing.
yeah,
And
yeah. I
so you
am
don't
my brand.
necessarily, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I am my brand, which, is, the pro of that is easy. I just show up as myself. The con of that obviously is it's not a sellable asset in the future because it's me. I
yeah,
can't sell my company or whatnot. But yeah, and it just kind of goes with me. It follows me. And I see a lot of people now in the online space doing, portfolio businesses, they call them, where you do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and you just kind of cobble it together and make it work,
hmm,
which to me is interesting because I get bored very easily. So I need, seven projects, not seven, but I need multiple projects going at one time to keep me interested. So like this nomadic lifestyle now, I'm like, I'm getting so many questions about logistics and all the things. I'm like, I could do a guide, I could do a subscription Substack, I could do a million things. So kind of looking at it that way as well.
yeah. So when you said you built your business after your husband passed away, that's when you realized, wait a minute, I have to build something that's location independent, or it was like when you after you got rid of your newsletter, your local newsletter, or your
Yeah,
local
yeah,
newspaper, you said,
yeah.
now I need to do something location independent, but you weren't thinking about being nomadic at some point, but you were thinking about just
No,
traveling.
no. Yeah, after my husband passed away, I thought, I mean, it really started, am I going to stay? I lived in a small town in Florida, south of Tampa, which was a lovely town, but it was a bit isolated. And I
Hmm.
thought, ooh, am I going to stay here? Or I probably need to get back to civilization. I kind of called it. And then that's when I realized, like, oh, this business that I have that's generating revenue it's hyper local. It is
Yes.
hyper local. So I might as well have a brick and mortar. And I'm like, that doesn't really work. I just went after the freedom. I
Right.
just want to be, like I always joke, free to move up about the cabin. And that wasn't it. And so I didn't have the idea to go nomadic, but I also thought, oh, I do love to travel. I've always traveled. It would be nice to be able to, go somewhere for a month and still be able to do my business.
Yeah. So you basically
Uh,
untethered, you disconnected the anchor to the town, and
yeah.
now you can run your business from anywhere. Are you still in that town, or have you moved?
I'm not. I'm actually back in my hometown of St. Louis. So
Hmm.
my late husband and I lived in Florida for 23 years. I moved back here 3 years ago, and now, of course, I'm getting ready to wander about the world. So
Wonder about the world. That's
yeah,
fantastic. So have you decided where you're going to go? Like, where's your
yeah.
first
So
destination?
Yeah, so for now, I'm going to be doing house and pet sitting. I've signed up for that app, Trusted House Sitters.
Hmm.
I still have my little doggy Trixie, who is alive and well. I always say that because she's 12 and she does have liver cancer. So
Oh no.
her time is she's doing great, but her time is limited. We just don't know how long. So I'm going to stay domestic for as long as I have Miss Trixie, because I wouldn't do that to her, put her on a plane to go overseas. I have my first long term sit lined up actually later this month. So I'm going to be up in New Hampshire for a 5 week sit. Actually, somebody who found me online on Instagram Live in the morning, and I started talking about, oh, I'm getting ready to go nomadic. I've signed up I'm on Trusted House Sitter. She's like, I'm on Trusted House Sitters. Come apply for my sit. And
I
so
love it.
yeah, it
See how
just kind of
awesome it
worked out.
is when you have an audience? It's so great when you have an audience because you could just put something out into the world and someone will pick it up and go,
Yeah,
"Hey, I can do that with that."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So I've had a
fantastic.
lot of people ping me. I've had somebody say, "Oh, why don't you? I have a month-long sit down in Tampa. Do you want to come do Tampa again?" I'm like, "Oh, that'd be fun to be, back in the old stomping grounds." So I have one sit lined up. Everybody keeps asking about my plan. I'm like, "Oh, I don't actually have a plan. Like, I'm not going to have a home anymore, so I will
Yeah.
figure it out as I go." I'm signed up on the app. I know where I'll be up in New Hampshire, and it was kind of up in the air if my lease would terminate before I went or after. So I'm like, but once I'm up there, I'll probably stay up there for the summer at least, and then maybe
Sure.
make my way down to Florida. So I have a sketchy plan in my mind, but not really a specific plan. I'm
Oh,
more of
cool.
a wing it kind of gal.
Yeah. Well, the plan really was not to have a plan. I mean, isn't that the whole point
Yeah,
of it? Is that,
yeah,
you're in a place, you'll be there for a while, and then you go, "Oh, it's time to go. Time to move to the
yeah,
next place and the next place."
yeah,
And then
yeah.
so when you are able to travel overseas, do you know where you're thinking about going?
Yeah, I'll absolutely. So my late husband was from Germany. I'd love to get back to Germany, see a lot of German friends. I lived in France for several years, way back in the 80s. So I'd love to get back to France. Scotland, I would love to. My father was born in Scotland, so get over to Scotland. And then from there, just kind of see where the wind takes me. I'd love to get to Scandinavia. Maybe I haven't really traveled in Scandinavia, and just kind of see what comes up, what's interesting. I think right now in my head, I feel like I will like longer sits than like I don't want to be moving every 3 days or whatever. That seems like that would be a lot.
Yeah, it's like
So
a couple weeks to a month to 2 months or something like that
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I know in Europe it's easier to find longer sits because they have long vacations over there, unlike
Oh yeah.
us here in the States at least. Or I think Europe and Canada, aren't you? I think you guys have nice vacation too.
Yeah, we have and they have summer homes and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
there's like
yeah, yeah. They
there's a
leave
lot
for
more.
6 weeks or whatever. Yeah, so it's easier to find long-term sits, over there. So I'm just gonna kinda go with the wind. I would love to
Mhm.
do a bit of Mexico maybe, and, I have some, people that I started following online that are nomadic. Like one woman, she's going to Italy for the summer because she joined an Italian language school, like a language immersion. So she
Ooh,
found to
nice.
sit near the town. So, I'm like, there's all sorts of interesting ways of planning your itinerary and whatnot. So yeah. Yeah.
So one of the things we talk about is funding your travel. So you're obviously doing well in your online business, so you can easily fund your travels, and it's going to be cheaper living outside of the country anyway because it's expensive. I'm assuming where you're living now, so it'll
Yeah.
be cheaper living elsewhere. So where you could just continue doing the same things that you're doing. So what will you
Yeah.
be able to do all of them location independent? So everything is completely location independent
Yeah.
now.
Everything is online. Everything is location independent. And it'll be, significant savings for me. I won't have rent. I'm in an apartment. I won't, have parking. I won't have utilities. I'll have minimal travel cost, of course. But a lot of people do the house and pet sitting because it does obviously reduce significantly any living cost for a time being. And yeah, and just keep doing my business and make the travel part of my business, and kind of vice versa. Make
Yeah,
it all
and
part of
then
it.
so when you do house sitting, I'm assuming you get paid for house sitting as well. So, but it's
Trusted
not that
house
much.
sitters, you don't. No,
You
trusted
don't.
house sitters, there's no money transacted. The transaction is a place to stay and a place of your choosing in exchange for caring for their pets. I
Right.
know a lot of people, almost everyone that I've talked to that has done like an app like Trusted House Sitters, they wind up with like a regular customer that says, "Do you want to come back or whatnot?" And those become paid sits.
Right.
Because I'm like, when I used to hire a pet sitter in Florida, I'm like, I was paying $125 a day. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's pricey. So I could definitely see that becoming a thing. But I
And that would
feel,
be another.
I'm new to it. Yeah, I'm new to it now. So
And
yeah,
that's another income stream right now. So your income stream. What are your income streams exactly? Like, where do you make your most of your money
yeah.
from?
So my income streams now are I have a membership community. So there's monthly recurring revenue. I do tons of like one-off workshops and I have digital products that I've created and built over the years. And my next income stream will probably be Substack that I want to
Hmm.
monetize my Substack. So I have those. I'm also doing some UGC, user generated content, which kind of happened by accident because I built an audience on social media and people started reaching out to me
Hmm.
like, do you want to do this? Or, so that kind of surprised me. So I've looked a lot at, or I'm learning more about UGC, user generated content, which I think is a great opportunity for anybody because you don't need a social media following. Like you can go approach brands and say, hey, I will sell your lotion or your
Yeah,
microphone,
because you're like
whatever it
you're
is.
like an influencer now. I mean, did you ever think you were going to be an influencer?
No, no. Well, I mean, now that Annie Lennox is following me, but but I know.
Yeah.
And the thing about UGC is the way people normally teach it is you don't have to have any social media following because you basically make the video about the product for the brand. They use it as their ads, their advertising on their accounts. So it's not about you having like a million followers or something. So I'm not, if I do UGC videos, I won't post that to my account. Like that'll
Hmm.
be uh, like I've had one AARP has approached me. I haven't gotten that one yet, but I'm like, oh, that would be a good one.
That would be a good one.
I know, but I'm like, damn, I hate being old enough for that, but we are. But we
Well,
are.
William Shatner is doing commercials for fiber now, so I mean,
I know,
you take
I
what you can
know,
get, right?
I know. John Bon Jovi was on the cover of the AARP magazine a couple months ago. I'm
Oh
like,
my
oh,
God, no way.
that hurts my
Seriously?
heart. Yeah. I'm like, oh, Bon Jovi, come on. Anyhow. So I think there's so many opportunities, UGC, Substack. I mean, these are the things that I teach because a lot of my audience, they don't necessarily want to be on social media every day and doing content and all that because it is a lot of work and it's a lot of work and you have to deal with the trolls and all of
Yeah.
that.
Well,
So
it's kind of a treadmill, right? Once you start creating it, and once it starts going, you just have to keep going, right? I
yeah,
mean, can you take breaks? I mean,
you
have you
really
ever taken
can't.
breaks? Yeah.
I mean, it'll kind of mess with the algorithm if you do. So, the nice thing about I've been doing it long enough now, you have like an inventory of content. You can totally repost videos you did 6 months ago
Yeah.
without any problem. So, I have an inventory of videos now that I don't have to be like too high pressure with it. But yeah, but it is a little bit of a like once you get a bit of an audience, like you're always like chasing that high,
Hmm.
Oh, I only got 3 followers today, and it becomes so sometimes you just have to, like, shut that off because 'cause I'm like, "That is not important. I'm not an influencer, that is not why I'm on social media, right?
But
I'm on social
you
media to
become an influencer now. Now you are basically an influencer because
kind
if
of
you're
by
getting.
accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, by
But you were
accident,
you were
yeah,
just trying to promote your business, and you ended up
yeah,
becoming an influencer through out of that, which is great because,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, on the one hand, well, actually, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, you've always got to be on. You can't just take off for a bit and have it not whack you on the algorithmic side. But at the same time, you want to be able to take breaks, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so would you recommend something like this to somebody who's just thinking about doing it? So you've got these people who are, they're still thinking about what they're going to do. Maybe they had a layoff or some other change in their lives and they want to do something different. Would you recommend doing something like what you're doing, or something, or
Yes,
like less
yeah,
less social media side, or like what variation of it would you recommend to
yeah,
somebody?
yeah. I always say it's the online space, I think, is an incredible opportunity because you can take any know-how or any interest and translate it into some form of a digital income stream. And
Right.
you can also create a digital income stream based on your own preference. I like doing video. I like doing social media. I know a lot of my audience, especially women over 50, they hate it. They don't
Mm,
want to do social media. I'm
yeah,
like, you can do Substack. You can do
you're right.
like
Yeah.
UGC, which is video, but you're not there in front of a live audience. You're like, here's my microphone, buy the microphone. I
Yeah.
love the microphone.
Yeah.
And you're kind of given a script.
Hmm.
And you don't need your own social media following. But I think in terms of digital products, you can do and you could show up on social media with like a faceless account where
Yeah.
you're not face to video. So I'm like, there's so many ways to slice it. I always recommend because most of the people like in my community now are still working full time and they're
Mm,
looking towards, how am I, kind of an exit ramp or once I retire, how can this be supplemental income? I mean, I have attorneys and I'm like, you can take any know-how and translate it somehow into digital income in some format because there's so many different ways to do it. There isn't one way, to do it. And I know I'm like, if you're somebody over 50, it's impossible that you don't have multiple skills or interests
oh
that you
yeah,
can't monetize. Like
absolutely.
from woodworking to AI to nomadic living to, sewing to I have a architectural consultant in there now that builds these crazy data banks for architects that she's like, I could do this on my own. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know what
Hmm.
you're talking about, but I bet they will. Like you can do it. There's
Yeah.
any interest. It takes time. Like I'm always like, I always start my audience like with a simple digital product. Like I want you to go build like an ebook in an afternoon on one sliver of a topic. It's not your empire builder, but it's going to get you in the mix so that
Yeah.
you can figure out how it works, the whole funnel, like the marketing and getting somebody to click a link and then getting, and just kind of get your feet wet there. And because then from there, once you understand the mechanism, then you can start, you know, pa- branching out in different ways.
Yeah.
But I think it's an incredible opportunity for anybody, especially coming into retirement. I'm like, don't wait till you retire. Start it now, part time. Get your feet wet, learn a little bit here. It's all a learning curve, and then you're kind of ready to go when you retire or whatnot. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, how many of your how many of your audience would you say does it as a side hustle?
I would say probably 90% of them still, they're still
Yeah.
working full time. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people are always like, well, what types of businesses do they want to do? I'd say half want to continue what they've done, in a career in some capacity, but on their own. The
Yeah.
other half want something entirely different because we're done with that. So
Yeah.
it really just depends. And the goals really, one thing I always do with my community is what are your goals? Because if
Hmm.
you tell me you want to generate an extra $2,000 a month, that's one thing. If you tell me you want to generate $30,000 a month, also doable, very different effort,
Yeah.
right? Very different level of effort, very different level of expectations, all doable. But if you just want something that's going to give you say 5,000 a month, we could get that cranked up. I don't want to say by tomorrow, it's not by Sunday, but pretty easily. That's not an over ask. Like that's a really once you get going, that's a pretty easy level to maintain. And
But
so yeah,
doesn't that depend on what they're interested in though? I mean, can you get to that? I mean, the demand has something to do with it, right? I mean, if you're doing something where you're selling financial services or health and wellness like the hot what is it health wealth and I forget
yeah,
what the health wealth and relationships. So if you're in those
yeah,
spaces, it's much easier to get to the 5K, 10K, 30K a month than
yeah.
if you're doing something a little more esoteric or has a smaller audience.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, we've all heard that, marketing term, the riches are in the niches, like as
Hmm.
narrow as you can get. Like I host my community on the school platform,
Yeah.
SKOOL. And if you go there and you they have a whole section called Discover Communities, and you see people, and you can see people like how many members they have and like what the membership rate is. There is wild stuff on there making very big amounts of money, like
Really?
pickleball school.
Wow.
Pickleball
Well, the
school is one.
pickleball is very popular.
It is. Guitar lessons. There
Mhm.
are two young men that they started a local poop scoop business, and now they teach people how to build poop
Start a
scoop
poop scoop
businesses.
business.
They're pulling in a couple hundred grand a month in their membership. A
Wow.
couple 100,000 a month. So it's, I think it's a matter of really, I always say it's finding your secret sauce. There's no idea that's not been done. Every idea has been done, right?
Sure.
So it's like finding like what's your angle on it and kind of going all in on that. So I don't think it's necessarily the niche as much as how much you're willing to market it and really
Right.
hone your message and get to that what is the problem you're solving kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we can't be vanilla or generic for sure.
So would you say that school is a good platform to build your business on? Because it sounds like most of your money making pieces are in school.
Yes and no. I love school. I actually don't love it for what I'm doing right now. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but what I love about school is the same thing that I love about Stan Store. If you're familiar with Stan
Yep.
Store, it's
Yep.
an online storefront and whatnot, is the simplicity of it. It's
Mm.
absolutely simple. You know, there's 5 things you can do, not 6, not 4. There's 5 things you can do, and that's all you can do. There's no elaborate sales pages, that type of thing. So setting school up, and it's where I usually direct my audience. I'm like, if you want a membership community, go to school. It takes you 7 minutes to set it up. They have like a hobby version that's $10 a month. So it's, the price of a Starbucks coffee. It's not some massive outlay. The challenging thing about school is it's a community first platform.
Mm.
You have a classroom in there and all the things, but it is community first. So if you are not getting a lot of members and a lot of members engaging in that community, it always looks dead, like a dead
Yeah.
fish.
So like the
So
empty room you were talking about earlier, right?
yes, yes. And what I have found with my audience, I put it in school. I'm like, we're going to test it this first quarter of this year. I will likely move. I say likely. I'm thinking of moving my membership off of school just to get it so that it's not community first. I can look at the back end data and see everybody's accessing the classroom. They're accessing the resources. They're coming to our twice monthly Zoom calls. They want to engage there. They don't want to engage in the feed.
Mm.
It's almost like a social media feed. And so
Yeah.
it looks dead and you can't change it. You can't hide the community thread. It makes the front door look bad kind of
Right.
thing. So even
Yeah.
though, so it's not
Like
necessarily the ideal.
there's no lineup at the club,
No,
right?
no, no. So it's not necessarily the ideal platform for what I'm doing now, but I love school as a platform.
Mm.
And I always recommend, even if you even if you don't want to start a business, like it's almost like a Substack. Say you want to start a book club, like for your local community, you pay $10 a month and you can have this really nice platform that everything's organized. There's a calendar. You can email everybody at one time. It's a super organizational tool that's very easy to use, very easy to use. So I do love it for that. Yeah.
So it sounds like there's not one tool that will do everything, right? You've got to do some stuff's on. Do you still use Kajabi for the
I have Kajabi
courses?
because my website's been on there and I have it as a founding member. So it's really inexpensive for me. I know
Right.
it's very expensive now, but I started on it, whatever, 10 years ago or whatever it
Always be a
was.
founding member. I signed up for
Always
Buffer
be a
ages
founding member.
ago, and I'm still paying $5 a month.
On which one?
Buffer, the
Oh my
tool that,
gosh.
yeah, it's like way, 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 way at the beginning. It's like, they
Yeah.
grandfathered me in. They just keep grandfathering me in. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
great. It's like never cancel that.
No, never cancel it. I have the same with Thrivecart. I think I got some deal. It was a lifetime deal for like $300 or something way back
Nice.
when. And I didn't even need it then, but I'm like, founding member, like $300.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're all
So
set. You're good.
I
You're
have the
good. So you have
fallback.
so you have Kajabi for your courses, Is that
I know
what
I have
you
Kajabi for my website.
for your website?
My
Okay.
Yeah, my courses either live on School for my members or on Stan Store. And the reason I went with Stan Store is because I teach my students to use Stan Store as a storefront if they're just starting out. Because I'm like, if you stop to go build a website, you will not get into business.
Oh yeah.
You need to get a storefront, you need to get a quick product, you need to have a link. Go to my link, and
No, I'm with you.
that stand store is the easiest link. It takes you 15 minutes to set up. You can have their lower priced version, which is 29 a month. And then when you start generating some income, you can just easily upgrade to their $99 a month, which gives you email automations and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So it's just as simple. I'm like, you need to get in fast and
So
move fast.
why aren't you recommending Gumroad? Because Gumroad seems to be the leader in this space. Is it Stan Store is way better than Gumroad or simpler or
Yeah, Stanstore has more. I do a lot of my students go into Gumroad. I think, yeah, Stanstore has more features in terms of eventuality with workflows, and everything is just already in there. They have different themes that you can choose, so your Stanstore looks, super professional right off the bat. But I have a lot of folks who are in Gumroad as
Mhm.
well. Uh, and Gumroad takes a fee, which is a different, their model. Obviously, you have processing fees and they take a fee per sale. Stand Store, you pay per month. And then obviously, you still have processing fees, but
Right. So it's kind of
it's
like
kind of two of them, half
Ko-fi.
dozen.
I use personally I tried Gumroad and I didn't like it. It's just some and
Yeah,
not just the look of it. It's just I never got any traction on Gumroad. But whereas I'm on Ko-fi, so I'm trying that. And then I've read about Stan Store, but the thing that I like about Substack is the thing that I wish these platforms would have is more cross pollination and
yeah,
discovery, right?
yeah,
So it's kind of like being on Etsy. And like if you're on Etsy, then somebody else might find you other than the people that you drive to your Etsy
yeah,
store. Is
yeah.
Stan Store like that too? So other people might find you
Not
if
so
they
much.
yeah.
No, school is very much. That's one of their big marketing features is a lot of your business will come just from internal referrals. They have this whole discover communities,
Yeah.
and then they have a community for everybody on school. So that becomes a little bit of a marketing tool. People get a little competitive to be like they have a leaderboard and all that
Mm,
kind of stuff, which
of
I
course.
don't like. But there's a lot of internal referral in school like there is here on Substack. So there's that.
Yeah, but there's
Um,
no platform. So school would be, but school is also a digital product platform, so you can sell your products on school.
it has a classroom within it, so you can have individual courses. You can paywall an individual course, or say you have 10 courses and your members get all of them. Like you can slice and dice it, kind of like on Substack, a lot of different ways. This is behind a paywall. This isn't behind a paywall. They've just introduced tiers similar to Substack where you have founding member and this and that. So they have all of that as well. So there's a lot of ways to slice it up. But yeah, they have a classroom. They have the community. They have the classroom. They have the calendar and an email system, which is really nice.
Can you sell digital products there, like PDFs and things like that, or is that
Yeah, you can. You
yeah,
can. The difference is you still have the community up front. Those people have to be in a community. So you're monitoring and managing a community. So if you don't want a community, if you just want to sell digital products, then I would say Stand Store is your best bet. I mean, for getting started for beginners, it's easy, up and running. School is really community first. So you need
right?
that something that's going to be engaging, talking about like if you had a nomadic community, but it's a lot if you've ever had a membership community to keep that going, the prompts and keep engagement going.
Oh
And
yeah, all of these
it's a
things are
lot.
work. People don't understand. It's like there's this fiction about, oh, I'm just going to go online and I'm going to set something up and it'll be passive income and I will never have
Passive
I could just
income.
like work for 4 hours a week or 2 hours a
Yeah,
week or lie on a beach in Cabo and
yeah,
money will just continue flowing in
yeah.
and it's like it's not like that.
No, no,
It
I'm
does
like,
not
whoever came
exist.
up with the term passive income should be, yeah, we need to have a conversation because it's anything but. And as soon as you get your system all dialed in and good, then they change it. Then they
Of
change it.
course.
Then
Of
they
course.
change the
And you're
algorithm. They change
it's like
ads.
what
They
happened
change.
with Medium. So many Medium writers are complaining about how their payouts are shrinking like anything. So somebody asked, like, where are you moving your community to? Like, if you're leaving school, where are you going?
Yeah,
you
if
know?
I leave school, I could very well do something as simple as stand store or Kajabi, because where my audience wants to engage, they want to show up to a Zoom call twice a month, right? I
Right.
don't need a community to do that. I can have a calendar somewhere that they access type of thing. So my first thought would be Kajabi, because they have a very nice library kind of mechanism that people can come to your Kajabi and see that you have this and this and this and this. And oh, you click on it. Oh, you don't own that, so you can buy that kind of thing. So it's a nice library. Similar to Stand Store. Stand Store is just much simpler. So there really aren't sales pages on Stand Store. You get to write copy or put images in. So the conversion is maybe a little bit less than like a fancier sales page like in Kajabi. But for somebody getting started, and for like me, I kind of just go with simplicity, to be honest,
Mm.
and look at the data. Look at the data.
So if somebody is thinking about doing this, what would you say that their first step should be? Should they sort of like think deeply about what they want to sell, or should they just jump into the here's how to create a digital product? Because I think that's what you were mentioning was the first thing. Like, what would be the
Yeah,
first thing that somebody would want to do if they're thinking about
yeah.
jumping into this business or
You
a
need
kind of
an idea. You need an
an
idea.
idea? Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about your first idea, it doesn't have to be your last. It probably won't be your best, but you need to pick something to go with, whether it's beekeeping or how to become a nomad, or literally, and choose one very narrow sliver of it. Like, I keep referring to myself now as a nomadic newbie.
Mm,
Like, I'm not an experienced nomad. I haven't been out on the road 5 years. I can tell you from a beginner standpoint the things I have to be thinking about, what,
yeah.
address and insurance, much
Yeah,
more
but you're
beginner.
rebranded now, though. You rebranded yourself as nomadic newbie because you weren't a nomadic newbie when you first started, right?
No, no, I
Yeah,
just added it as a tagline.
right.
So, and like on Substack, it'll just be kind of the nomadic newbie edition, really is,
Yeah,
and then next year when I'm doing something else, it can become that. It can grow and more. You need one idea. And I always say, you're going to pick one problem to solve. And I mean, one problem to solve, not how to become a nomad, but maybe how to decide what you're going to put in storage versus sell, kind
yeah.
of thing.
So that's a good question because a lot that comes people come to me with that sort of thing all the time. They go, "Well, this is what I want to do," and I'm just like, "That's not narrow enough." So how do you know when something is narrow enough, right?
I mean, it's a lot of testing, but what I say is this: your first digital product should not take you more than an afternoon to create. If it's
Mm,
taking you more than an afternoon, you're putting way too much time and thought into it. And so I always do a get an idea. I'm going to teach you how to prepare to go nomadic. I'm going to teach you how to, decide what to sell, what to donate, what to store. That's the one product, right? I'm
that
going to
sounds
build
like
it in.
even more than an
It could
afternoon.
be. It could be. It could be if I got into it. But with AI now, with there's so much help out there to create things more quickly.
Yep,
Uh, like, I'm a big voice person. Like, I have a like a voice app on my phone. I will just yak 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 talk to
yep,
it thing. I'll take the transcript and I'll take it into AI and say, at least organize this, because this was just kind of stream of consciousness. Organize
yeah,
it, and you have an outline like pretty quickly, and
yeah.
then you can go from there. And then I'm like, you need to get on social media or someplace and start talking about your idea
Yes. So you can get some
and
feedback to see
get some feedback.
what people think.
Get some feedback, and then you're going to try to sell the thing very fast, because you will know quickly if nobody wants your $19 ebook on what to store, what to sell. You maybe know now that it wasn't narrow enough, or your messaging wasn't tight enough, or but you need the data. It's like the chicken or the egg. You
Yeah,
need the product to get the data, and then you kind of go from there. Which is
that's
why I'm like,
interesting.
don't spend 6 months building some big course that you have in your head, because
Yeah, I've heard somebody say that. They say, "Oh, you should build the $900 course because then you can use the material from the $900 course and sell your $3 ebook." And I'm like, come on, shouldn't you just build the $3 ebook first
Yeah.
and see if
Yeah.
somebody will buy the $3 ebook? And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
and that sort of begs another question is on pricing. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
know what to price your product at? Because if you have like an 8-page PDF with some links in it, is that like a $4 product? Is it a $20 product? Is it a dollar product? I mean,
Yeah.
how do you know where
I
to
always
place it?
do it. I always kind of work it backwards. What is the transformation? What is the solution you're offering? Right?
Right.
Because some solutions are like something I get a lot is, oh my gosh, I can't do that. It's all available for free on YouTube. I'm
Yeah.
like, greatest myth known to mankind. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, it is all available for free on YouTube. If you want to go, first of all, figure out what to search for, then find the 372 videos and put them in the right order, and then sift through those videos because every one of those videos is going to sell you something else. And then. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what you're really doing with your product is you're curating a solution, a problem to solution in one tiny little, space that somebody can
Exactly.
like I can do this in an afternoon and I'm done, right?
Yeah.
So like I would probably price a what to store, what to sell at like $19.
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to save you a bunch of time. I'm going to answer a bunch of your questions all in one place, and it's going to be more of a lead generation tool, a paid lead magnet than it is, a bigger thing. If it's something bigger, like you create a template or something that's going to save somebody hours of time. I mean, I've seen people sell like spreadsheets for $1,000 that I'm
Wow.
like, if the value, like if the formulas in that sucker will save you, weeks of time, it's worth the money. So it's really what is the value you're providing on the back end. And you can always raise your prices. It's not
That's
easy
right.
to lower them. It's
That's right.
not easy to lower them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
easy to lower them.
I have a bunch of PDFs I did. So I do this thing every Sunday called the Sunday Spark, which is a location independent business idea specifically for people over 50, right?
Love
And
it.
it's just every Sunday this thing comes out, and I thought, well, maybe I'll turn these into PDFs and see if I can sell them. So I opened up a store on Ko-fi. Now I'm going to look at Stan Store because I might switch over there, and I put them on there, and they basically sat there for 6 months. I didn't even sell one. And then all of a sudden, people just started buying them and buying them and buying them because what happened was I added some marketing material to one of my newsletters saying, "Hey, I have this stuff is here now,"
Yeah.
and people are like, "I didn't even know this was here. Why don't you
Yeah.
market it?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I suck at marketing, basically."
Yeah, isn't that funny about marketing? Isn't that funny? When you tell people you have something to buy and then they buy it, and then if you
That's
don't
right.
tell them, they don't. Yeah,
That's right.
it's all about the marketing. It is all about the marketing and letting people know. You can send 100 emails and say, "Hey, I have this thing. I have this thing," and then you will get an email from somebody. "Hey, have you ever considered doing such and such?" And you're like, "I've sent you 100 emails. I have the
Yeah.
thing."
And you shouldn't
But
be worried about bugging people because I think that's the other thing is that some people are like, oh, well, I sent 100 messages about this already. I shouldn't send the 101st, even though the 101st message might be the one that actually sells your
yeah,
product.
yes, yes. You can't talk about your thing too much.
Mm,
And people are like, oh, they're going to unsubscribe. I'm like, good. You want them off your list. If they're not your ideal customer or they're never going to buy, you're paying for them to be on your list. And they're really hurting your open rates and all the things. Like you want them off your list.
yeah, exactly.
That's a good thing. And like when I first started, you would get these strategies like, oh, if you're doing a launch, you should email people twice a day. And then like the last few days, like hit them with 3 emails a day. I'm like, huh. And now
Yeah,
I'm like, hit them with 4 or 5 the last 3 days. If they're going to unsubscribe, they unsubscribe. And if they don't, they just delete you.
yeah,
It's neither here nor there.
yeah.
It's
Well,
really, yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, remember. I mean, in marketing, there was always that. Oh, you have to have at least 7 touch points to get a
yeah,
sale, and then it was 9 touch points. Then it was 12. Then it was 13. Now it's basically infinite. You just have to
yeah,
keep sending your message out there because that's when it aligns with the timing, right? So they might have a need, but the timing's off, the timing's off. And if you send them a message every day, then eventually you'll hit the right timing and they'll purchase. So
yeah,
it's gotten to the
yeah.
point where the reason why we're flooded with infinite marketing messages is because it works, right?
It works. It works. And our attention span is less and less and less.
Yeah.
So you need even more. Like, I don't know where the breaking point is, but And another thing I always tell my people: be clear over clever. Don't try to
Mm.
be clever. Don't have some fancy name. Like if you are teaching beekeeping, say beekeeping 101. Like don't get some
Yeah.
fancy name around it because
Don't
people
get too
won't be able to
artistic
find.
about it. Just
Don't
be
get artistic.
yeah.
Yeah. I had
No,
this the other
it's
day.
true.
I was
I
on a
think
call.
simplicity is the thing that has to win because otherwise people just don't get it, right?
They don't get it. They don't get it. I was on a call with my members the other day and I was trying to remember the name of this woman in St. Louis. She's a photographer. She started selling her images. I went on Instagram. I cannot find her account.
Mm.
I finally find her account. It is some bizarre name. I'm like, how about like St. Louis photography or something like that? Like, uh, but I'm like, I
That's
was
right.
looking specifically because I had promised to, to get this person. But I'm like, you need to be findable. You need to be referable. People need to be like, oh, Chris, he's the nomad guy.
Yeah,
They need to put the two and two together. You
exactly.
can't
You have
talk
to
about your thing too much. Yeah.
you need to be known for something, right? Once you're
Yes.
known for that, then it comes a lot easier. And that's why like there's a lot of people who are polymathic, like they have all these different interests and they want to do all these different things. But if you don't stay in your niche, then neither algorithms or people can find you, right? Because they'll go,
Yeah.
well, what is that person doing? What are they doing? They
Yeah.
don't get that. So it's really important to, at least at first, make sure you maintain that narrow niche. But then
Yeah.
once you get a certain size of audience, then you can always expand from there because they'll
Yeah.
go, oh, now she's doing this or now she's doing that. Now they're able to understand what your core is, but then you can go off and
Yeah.
add things like nomad newbie to your list, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. It expands slowly. And I mean, I've done that. Like there's some people like in the market that I'm like, oh, I really like their model. And I'll take it to AI. And they're like, yeah, that model works because they have like 4 million people on their email list.
Yeah,
You don't.
exactly.
You don't. That's not a good model for you.
You are not them.
You are not them. Yeah, you are not them. So
One day you might be
yeah,
them. So this
yeah,
has been
yeah.
great. Thank you so much. So if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
The best way is any of my social media accounts or my website are all at colleenkochannek.com or at Colleen Kochannek. Yeah,
Okay, so
easiest
just put
place.
that in the show notes, and then people can go direct, and then
Yeah,
that's like your link tree where it like links off to all the other things that you're doing.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
exactly. And of course, here on Substack, it's Third Act Field Notes, but the username is my name at Colleen Kochannek. Yeah,
very cool. So I'll put all that in,
awesome,
and we'll be good. So thank you so much. This has been great.
great. Thank
Tons
you,
of fun.
thank you. I'm glad I was able to join today
No,
after my
thank you.
snafu yesterday. Yeah,
This was like super informative, and I hope
yeah,
everybody else found it informative too. So it was great. Thank you so much.
super
Talk
great.
to you later.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.